Hey there, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to share a personal and somewhat disturbing story with the viewers of my channel. It involves a motorbike accident that I had last weekend in Koh Phangan. Now, I've been living over in Thailand for just over 3 years now, and I've had some minor scrapes in the past, but this one was pretty serious, and it really opened my eyes to how grateful I should be to be alive, right? So, long story short, we had headed over to Koh Phangan last Friday because I was doing a media collaboration with a resort over there. So we hopped on the ferry. It only takes about 30 minutes to get over to Koh Phangan from Samui, and rented a motorbike right away, close to the pier. We drove to the resort, no issues whatsoever. It was in Had Rin, which is a little bit steep. There's a lot of steep hills going down there. This is where the famed full moon party takes place every month, and that happens to be also where the resort, Explorer Resort, is located. So we checked in. Basically, we were staying there for 2 nights for free, so I was really excited. I'm like, let's do this. This is going to be great. Was swimming in the pool, enjoying our hotel room, creating some content around the resort for social media and YouTube, and things were going really well, right? Next morning, we woke up, we went downstairs to get breakfast, complimentary breakfast, and I struck up a conversation with this Dutch couple who had recognized me actually from YouTube, which was pretty cool. I was kind of excited about it. We were talking for, 45 minutes or so, had a great conversation, and I had mentioned how I wanted to go up to this coffee shop restaurant with a really beautiful viewpoint of Koh Phangan, in Koh Phangan. So about 2 hours later, there was a big storm that rolled in. We waited for the storm to pass, and then we hopped on our motorbikes and took off. Now, key point here, I was not wearing a helmet because I had left my helmet outside in the grass near the parking lot, and someone had taken it. They took my helmet for some reason, right? So I was not wearing a helmet, and my girlfriend was also not wearing a helmet. And in a little bit, I'll reveal why that was important, right? So we're driving up these really steep hills because it's in Had Rin, and then we went down. I'm thinking, this is going to be great. I'm going to show them this viewpoint. It's going to be a great day, very optimistic. It was beautiful weather after the storm, right? So I was excited about the adventure. And I had taken a few wrong turns because I'm not really too familiar with Koh Phangan. I don't really go over there very often because, to be perfectly honest, I don't really like it that much, and I'll explain why a little bit later in this video, so stick around to the end. But yeah, I took some detours, some back roads, and I got lost like 1, 2, and then 3 times. So I figured 3rd time's the charm. Let's find this viewpoint, right? I was committed to finding it. So we turned to go back onto the main road, basically the ring road in Koh Phangan. The roads are pretty shit over there, but that's beside the point. And I was just driving along, minding my own business, and I decided to turn into a gas station. Even though I had plenty of gas in the tank, I just wanted to turn into the gas station and then turn around to try to find this viewpoint, right? And next thing you know, this motorbike just comes out of fucking nowhere, right? And he knocks both me and my girlfriend off the bike. He must have been going, 60, 70 kilometers an hour, just coming out of fucking nowhere, right? And I remember my girlfriend screaming, "Mike!" like this, right? But I only had a split second to react. And the next thing you know, we're both on the ground. I had let my head go back like this, and then I lifted my head up. I thought I had hit my head. I could have had, a concussion or brain damage, or had been paralyzed, or who knows what, right? Because I wasn't wearing my goddamn helmet, which I almost always do. And this one time, I happen to not be wearing my helmet, right? So the first thing I do is I get up. I'm stunned at what just happened, obviously. And I make sure that my girlfriend's all right. Thankfully, thank Buddha, she barely has a scratch on her, which I'm still very grateful about, because I don't know what would happen, how I would react if something had happened to my girlfriend, right? She's basically the most important person in my life, aside from myself, right? So, so we get up, And then we see that the woman, the guy's wife, is laying on the ground over by the coffee shop, this coffee shop near the gas station, and she's laying on her back. So we're both worried about what happened to this woman, right? Apparently she had been thrown off the motorbike like a projectile, and judging from my Dutch friends that were following us, they said she just flew right off the motorbike and landed on her back. So obviously Mary, my girlfriend, being the sweetheart that she is, she was over there mending her and making sure everything was all right, as well as the Dutch woman, because she had training as a nurse, thankfully. So they were making sure she was all right. I took a look at my foot and I saw that my toe was bleeding profusely, and I had a little bit of pain, but nothing serious. I figured it was just like a flesh wound. It wasn't anything that big of a deal. And it wasn't, it turns out. It could have been way, way worse. But I'm like, it's okay. Just make sure she's all right. And the guy who was driving the motorbike, this Russian guy, not that it really matters all that much, he was also barely scraped up. I don't know how he came away with barely any scrapes, similar to my girlfriend. I guess they just got lucky. I don't know. But so the Dutch woman said, "Oh yeah, ring up the ambulance. We need an ambulance right away." So 2 ambulances pulled up. I still remember some kids got out of the ambulance. I guess they were volunteering. I'm not exactly sure why there were kids on the field, but the medical care system is not very good over there, obviously. But yeah, so they made sure she was all right. They bandaged her up, made sure she wasn't bleeding from the head and all this stuff. And then they got out the, what is it called? The stretcher, right? So they put her on the stretcher. I saw she was crying a little bit. Obviously, she was in shock, probably in pain as well. And they put her in there. She was whisked away to the hospital. We were talking to the Dutch people for a little bit. They were very accommodating, very, very friendly and supportive, and making sure everyone was all right, you know. So yeah, we decided to get on a motorbike because it was pretty badly damaged, and head over to the motorbike shop where we were renting from near the pier in Dong Sala, which is kind of a popular area of Koh Phangan, right? So we went over there. They did an assessment, put together a price estimate on how much it was going to be to repair the bike. Thankfully, we were not driving our brand new Honda Click that we're financing. We decided to leave that back in Koh Samui because Seatran and Raja Ferry were not running that day. They were only doing trips back and forth to the mainland and then over to Koh Phangan. So we just decided to take Lampraya, which is the fastest route. It's a high-speed catamaran. It only takes about 30 minutes to get over to Koh Phangan, and you can't bring your motorbike on it, right? So in hindsight, that was the best decision. So it turns out it's going to be about 4,500 baht to repair the bike, which at the time, just being perfectly honest, I'm not rich by any means. I did not have the money in my bank account. I don't have much savings. So I was a little bit worried about how we were going to pay for the motorbike. But for the most part, I was really just thankful, very, very grateful that nothing happened to my girlfriend or anything too serious to myself, right? My foot was starting to hurt at this point. The swelling was going up. I thought possibly one or more of my toes may be broken, or maybe something inside the top of my foot was broken. I wasn't really sure. But we just headed back. They gave us a relatively new motorbike, slightly better one than the one we had, which had like 50,000 kilometers on it. So we took that motorbike, drove back to the resort, making sure to go much more carefully this time. We had actually seen a couple near misses on the way because people just drive so crazy in Koh Phangan, and a lot of them are either drunk and high or either or, right? This is one of the reasons that I don't like Koh Phangan all that much. And we have that here in Samui too, but to a lesser extent. People drive a lot more carefully, I would say. So we headed back. We decided to skip the viewpoint because I just wanted to make sure my foot was okay. And we headed back, got some dinner. My girlfriend got the first aid kit, which they had in the restaurant at the resort. The staff was all super helpful. They bandaged me up. They put on the alcohol and on my foot and everything. So I thought, okay, this is good. We put some ice on the foot. The swelling didn't really seem to be going down all that much throughout the night. I made sure to keep my foot up, which is something I know you should do when you have an accident or something possibly broken. So next morning I woke up, and again, the swelling was not going down. I was a little bit concerned. I didn't really want to go to the hospital, which they had offered to take me to the hospital earlier, but I figured let's just wait till we get back to Koh Samui. They've got better medical care over there, and yeah, let's just wait for the time being. So the next day I was limping around. I was still shooting content for YouTube and social media, just making sure that I had enough video and photos and everything, so that the manager was satisfied with my work, because like I say, I was over here for a media collaboration with this resort, and we were staying there for free for 2 nights, so I wanted to make sure everything was all right. So I finished all that up. We said goodbye to the Dutch couple, and they're actually in Koh Samui right now, so I'm looking forward to maybe showing them around the island a little bit. But yeah, so we waited till the last boat, because we wanted to meet up with the Russian guy who had hit us, because obviously we were not at fault in this accident. He just came out of absolute nowhere, going way, way, way too fast. I was making a legal turn, which is my right to do, and he just blew right past us, right? So luckily we had gotten his phone number after the accident. He seemed like a reasonable guy, so we met up with him at the motorbike shop shortly before our boat was due to arrive back to Koh Samui. And thankfully, he took care of the cost to repair the bike. I had actually received a payment from a client back in Koh Samui right before we were going to get on the boat, so I could have actually taken care of the repair cost, but obviously it was not my responsibility, right? He was clearly at fault in this accident. So he took care of that. We hung out at a coffee shop for a little bit. I was working on my laptop, as I'm prone to do as a digital nomad. So did that for a bit, got a drink, hopped on the boat. There was a big storm coming in over Koh Phangan, and luckily we narrowly missed it and headed back to Samui. It was quite a bumpy ride though, because there was this big storm coming in. So we made it back safely to Koh Samui. Very wet because the water was splashing us on the way back. Hopped on the motorbike. I drove back in the rain back to our house here in Samui, and my girlfriend was very worried about my foot, because the swelling was still not going down even though we were putting ice on it. And I thought maybe one of my toes or more of my toes is broken, right? So the very next morning I woke up, dropped my girlfriend off at work, and then headed straight over to Koh Samui Hospital, which is a government hospital in the southern part of the island. And overall, I would say it was a pretty pleasant experience, but in the beginning, they kept pointing me to different windows that I had to go to, and I couldn't really find the emergency room. There were a lot of people in there. I guess there's usually a lot of injuries, or I don't know what. In the morning, the hospital's usually packed, and it's a government hospital too, so it's not like, it's a little bit more affordable, and that could be part of the reason as well. But anyway, I went to the emergency room. I was lying in this bed, that they basically like a stretcher where you get to relax. And there was a woman right next to me, like getting something cut off of her neck, and it was bleeding. And she was going, like that. And I was like, oh God, see, this is why I don't like hospitals. Please just get me out of here as soon as possible. And hopefully nothing is wrong with my foot. So they checked my foot. They cut like this flab of skin off my toe that was like dead skin. So they got rid of that, cleaned up the wound, and wiggled my toes a little bit. Obviously, I can still feel my toes, so I know that most likely my toes are not broken, like really, really broken. So I thought, okay, this is a good sign. And the doctor came by. He was a very, very genial guy, bedside manner, all that stuff. And he decided it was probably a good idea to get an x-ray, because something could be broken inside my foot. And now keep in mind, this could have been way, way worse, right? I could have hit my head, any number of things. I could have broken my arm or my leg, or any number of other worse things could have happened. But thankfully, it was just my foot, and I got a little bit of scraped up on my arm, and that's about it. So we went over to the x-ray room. They did 2 x-rays. It was only 600 baht, which is like, I don't know, $17, very cheap. And the doctor, I was laying there for like another 45 minutes or so. It was taking quite a while to get the x-ray results. But then eventually the doctor came over. He showed me basically the x-ray on his phone, and there was a small fracture in my second phalange, which basically means toe. So it was a small fracture. It didn't look like anything all that serious, but he decided to put the cast on. So it's a splint, and I have to wear this cast for the next 2 weeks. I'll actually just come back a little bit. I could show you the cast. There it is. That's the cast I have to wear for the next 2 weeks. It's got like a hard part up here, and my foot is all bandaged up. I'm trying not to walk around too much. It's only been on there about 5 days. I have to wear it another almost 2 weeks. So this is quite difficult for me. I don't really like sitting around all day doing nothing, and obviously I'm not on crutches. I can still get around relatively easily. If I need to take the motorbike somewhere, I can do that. I can relax in the hammock outside. It's not like I'm a prisoner in my own house or anything. And plus, I'm on a beautiful island as well, right? So there's a lot worse places that I could be recovering from this injury. I still kind of feel like the cast is not really all that necessary, but the doctor said, just put the cast on, so I didn't really want to argue with a medical professional, right? So I let him put the cast on. And I paid the bill, so I was able to pay the medical bill. It took like 5 hours to get out of the hospital because I had to wait around for the medical certificate, which took a long time because I have to then send that into the company that I work for in Bangkok so that I can get a reimbursement from my health insurance, my Social Security basically, which I have through the company. So that's also good news. It wasn't that expensive. It's a government hospital, only about $100, but I figure might as well get the reimbursement, right? Because right now I'm mostly working on sales commissions. I'm not getting a full-time salary, and I don't have tons of clients coming in that need photography and video and social media stuff, right? So that's good news. And now I just basically have to recover from this injury for the next 2 weeks. But the moral of this story is to really, really, make your health is your wealth, essentially. You can have as much money as, till the cows come home, but if you're obese, if you got diabetes, if you're, got cancer, any number of ailments, you can barely move, you can't get outside, you can't walk around, these sorts of things. You need to really make sure that you're taking care of your health. Going to the gym a couple times a week is always a good idea. Going for jogs, getting on the bike maybe, like pedal bike, riding around. Just making sure that your health is taken care of, because this is one thing that this accident really woke me up. It woke me up to the reality that I can lose my life at any moment. It can be taken away in the blink of an eye, right? Just like what happened in Koh Phangan. And this is actually one of the reasons that I don't want to live in Koh Phangan. And I've told myself many times before, I don't really like the island. Make of it what you will. I think there's too many hippies over there. They're driving around drunk or high, and they don't really have a lot of respect for their own life or other people's lives. This is just my impression, this is my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. The roads over there are shit. The hospital care is not that great, and they just drive like maniacs. Like, I had seen multiple ambulances over there, and people getting in near accidents just in 2 days. And I've lived in Koh Samui for over a year now. I've never had a single accident. Maybe like 1 or 2 small little scraps that were kind of out of my control. There's one time that a palm tree branch fell right in front of me during a heavy storm, and the bike went out from under me. But that's about it. And I've lived in Thailand for over 3 years. I've done some epic motorbike adventures. One of them was from Chiang Mai to Bangkok and back up again. It's like 4,000 kilometers. And I didn't have an accident that time either. So, and then all it took was one day in Koh Phangan, and you know, I could have lost my life because I was not wearing a helmet. And that's another thing that I'd like to strongly urge everybody that is coming over to Thailand. You have to keep in mind that there are a lot of roadside fatalities here, more so than in the Western world, I would say. And it can be quite dangerous driving around Thailand. So always make sure to wear a helmet and just don't take your life into risk. Always wear a helmet as much as possible. Even if you're just going to 7-Eleven for 5 minutes, make sure to put a helmet on, right? And that's the mistake that I made in this particular case. Both me and my girlfriend were not wearing a helmet, and yeah. So that's the story I wanted to share in this episode. Hopefully you found it inspiring, or not inspiring, but insightful. And those are just some of the teachings that I want to leave you with. So with that being said, take care, stay safe, peace from Thailand, and remember, your health is your wealth.